Oh, she's there. Hi, it's Robbie from Southern California, and what a beautiful day. You know what? I wanted to talk about hummingbirds today because I see behavior starting to change in the hummingbirds. I think they're going to go to nest really early. I know a lot of you are under snow, but they're starting to move because more are starting to show up. I went through 3 gallons of nectar today, and I don't think they're leaving. I think they're starting to move up north very slowly, coming from Mexico and moving their way through Southern California. I think they know something. And what's exciting is we can bring them to our gardens if we know a few little tips and tricks. Now, the first thing they need, which we all know, is food. Food is very important to them because a lot of times there's not enough flowers for them. And if there's not, they have to keep going until they find it. If they don't find enough flowers, you know what happens. They also need insects, but they can do really good on their own that way, though I have lots of tricks on how I am now attracting the little insects that they want, and they have been feeding constantly on my deck with the new setup I did to bring in tiny little fruit flies. But let's get back to what they need. Get ready, because when they come, you want to be ready. If they fly by and you don't have anything out, they're going to keep going. They're not going to park themselves out here and wait to see if you're going to put a feeder out. So the moment you see them, get a feeder out right away. And the amount of feeders will depend on how many show up. If you have one, you will see them feed and disappear, and about 15 minutes to 30 minutes, he will come back. If you've got one that disappears and then he shows up, it may not be him, because they generally feed every 15 minutes. They get enough to fuel themselves up. Then they go into the garden looking for insects and nectar and pollen from different plants. And they know you've got that feeder there, and they will come back to it. That's the thing. Now, if they come back, it's not there, they may check 1 or 2 more times, and then if it isn't there, they will move on and go to somebody else's house who's got a feeder up. Because like I said, food's important to them. The other thing that we can attract them to our garden this way is with water. Because water is the second, though it's all part of what they need, but it's the most important thing as far as next to food. They need water not only to drink, because they can find tons of water to drink. People are doing their lawns and their plants and their gardening, and they can get a little bit of water even from morning dew that's settling on leaves of plants. But when it comes to bathing, though they can bathe on plants and they will roll around sometimes in my garden on my collard, they really do like water that's running. And the reason they like water that's bubbling, like here, is because they can stand there and let it run down their body. They get really dirty. They go around in the flowers collecting pollen and nectar. Now, you know what nectar is. We're making hummingbird food. And the DIY hummingbird food that we make, which is 1/4 cup of white granulated sugar and 1 cup of water, and if you can drink your water, they can drink it too. That is sticky. So if you spill a little and you go back and it's sticky, well, that's what happens to them when they go into the flowers. Pollen, on the other hand, it's usually yellow or white, but it can be any color. They get that on them. And between the nectar they're drinking and the pollen they're collecting, they get really dirty. And so they do greatly appreciate running water. This is why I've got so many solar fountains set up. You can have electric, that's perfect too. But fountains in general, the flowing, the gentle flow, that's what they need. And they will sit and bathe a lot of times longer than they do drinking. They'll come in, drink, and in about 15 seconds they're gone. I have seen them bathe for 2 minutes, just washing and scrubbing and, boy, having a great old time. So if you give them food and you give them someplace to get water to bathe, you could possibly keep them on your property, whether it's a deck, a garden, a balcony, anywhere, because they will come for this as well as the food that you're providing. Those 2 things are important. The third is shelter. Now, shelter, as you can see over my shoulder, is green plants. It could be trees, whatever. Sometimes they find places up underneath the roof. There might be some place for them to perch up there. They can find that anywhere. So when they come in and get the drink or bathe and then eat and leave, they can get across this canyon in seconds. So you don't really have to worry that much about shelter for them to sleep in. What you want to worry about, it's not worrying, providing them is a plant that's a little bushy. That would be really nice, because what happens is if they're bathing or if they're drinking and danger comes by, which could be another hummingbird that's darting at them, they can dart into the plant and just sit there for a few moments and then take off. So a little bush, a couple beautiful flowers on your deck or patio garden would be perfect for them to kind of tuck into if they need to. And make sure it's kind of an open plant, because remember, they don't climb like your other birds can climb around and they walk. They're not walkers. They can only move around really by flapping their wings. So they need space between the plant. So if they can grab onto a plant like here and hang on or go down here, that's what they need. If it's really thick and bushy and they can't get in, you know, a really tight plant, then they won't use it. So kind of analyze. Pretend you're a hummingbird. What would you want? Because that's how it works with them. And I think if you do what I did, you could end up with thousands too. Don't you want to have thousands of hummingbirds and go through 3 and 4 gallons of homemade nectar a day? You know what? I love it. Thank goodness Gary and I love the garden. We're home buddies. We love staying home and working around the house, so this has been really good. My feeders are washed and changed multiple times a day because they empty them. It would be good if you can change it once a day. So keep your formula in the refrigerator and keep it down really low in your feeders if you only have a few. And it'd be good the next day if you go out, take it in, wash it up, and put it out. That's the best way of doing it. You can make DIY feeders. I make dots. I make peanut butter cups that are behind me swinging, and I make ice cream container feeders. They absolutely love it. I don't make anything that's upside down that will drip. There's a few of them out there that are dangerous. They make them with soy bottles and they turn them upside down and they show how it drips and they feed on it. If it runs down them too much and they can't find someplace quick to get it off, that could be their demise. So keep that in mind. My favorite feeders are these red ones. I've got multiple videos. They're only like $4 and they're really good. That's the Hummingbird's favorite, though you can go to the dollar stores and pick up those. And I tweak those so they really do like them. Then we can make DIYs. Notice here they dip so nothing drips on them. So if we stop and analyze what would they want, I think you can end up not only bringing them to your place to feed, but having them stay because they have water and food, and that's what will make them stay. Keep in mind, not that many years ago, I only had 1 hanging around and then 2, and then like you know, she nested on the kitchen window, on the window, right like 2 feet from my face as I'm doing dishes, she's right there, and she had 6 nests on my window. Now, of course, her siblings ended up staying around here. I don't think her siblings made the 3,000 hummingbirds we have now. But the point I'm saying is they found it peaceful here. They found enough food. And this is why they get along. They're not worried about running out of food because, okay, one feeder runs out, they'll just move over to the other. But if you've got hummingbirds coming in and you've got one feeder and they run out, that's when they get nervous because they think, there's a bird there drinking my food and there may not be anything when I come back. So that's when the fighting starts. But if they have peace of mind knowing that there's going to be either food here, food there, or food behind me, then what they'll do is, okay, let them drink like they do here. I'll come back. I'll find a place to sit. So I hope I've given you some tips and tricks. So keep an eye out, because if you see that hummingbird coming and he's starting to hang around your place, get that feeder out. Make sure there's always a little bit of food in there for him, because he's not going to park himself and sit on a perch and wait days for you to bring out the food. He's going to come, look, and if you don't have it, he'll find somebody else that does. Ask questions. Let me help you the most I can, because ants are easy to get rid of. Don't worry about ants. We can all get rid of ants. I put a moat here. They can't get to the ice cream container. I have DIY easy projects on how to make an ant moat for free. Works perfect. No ants are on the march right now, so I don't have to worry about it. Bees are a little trickier, but if we switch over our feeders during that time when the bees are looking, we can get rid of the bees too. So I hope I gave you some tips and ideas. Be ready for them, because I think they're going to show up early this year. So with that, have a wonderful day. And don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye. Oh, didn't mean to scare them. And we're going to make a whole lot of water fountains this year. This one doesn't cost that much. All you need is that pump for what? Less than 20 bucks. Trash can for $1, a plate for a quarter, and then that is it, because this is a soda bottle and this is a food container, and this was put together in a tricky way, and I'm going to show you exactly how we put this together so we have a beautiful, soft, flowing fountain. And all you need to know is those little bits of tricks, and you'll be able to do it too. I could just hang out here all day. I sure hope this time I remembered to plug in the mic. So we have Rufus. We've got multiple females and males, which are good. We have Black Chin, I see right now. And Anna's. And I think there's a couple Allens in here, because that one is not the same as that one. So I think we got Anna's as well, Allen's. Oh, I'm trying to see if that's Acosta. I don't know. Okay,